You've said in relation to our current Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, he's leading the Liberal Party into the valley of death. He's got to do the right thing. What is the right thing he has to do?
Well, the right thing was very clear the other night with Peter Beattie on Sky, and that's he's got to resign. He can't be deposed.
Malcolm Turnbull, an elected Prime Minister, has to resign.
Yeah, he does, because it's the right thing to do. But let me take you back. I mean, the problem is that the Liberal Party and coalition government we have are not an authentic coalition government. They're not an authentic Liberal Party. And let me give you some examples. We've just seen a high taxing, high spending budget. We've seen them raid superannuation savings of their key support group. They've just appointed someone to the Human Rights Commission, which the Institute of Public Affairs has grave misgivings about in terms of someone who will stand up for free speech and redress issues there. They've thrown billions to prop up their vote in South Australia, and yet their vote's down to 29%. They continue to allow red tape to proliferate, which impacts on small business. I could go on and on and on. The point is the base of the Liberal Party are desperately unhappy, and that's reflected in the polling. He's got to look at the numbers. He's got to look at the way of what he's tried, and clearly it isn't working. And if he wants to, and the more important thing, the reason I'm saying this is he is dividing the Liberal Party. I mean, there's a lot of attention on Abbott for running around giving these speeches, but the person who's really dividing the Liberal Party is actually Malcolm Turnbull. In fact...
Hang on, he's an elected leader and an elected Prime Minister.
And he is dividing the Liberal Party. I mean, Steve, I'll go back to the base. The Liberal Party is about people, thousands of people, tens of thousands of people across Australia who turn up to polling booths, hand out how-to votes, who go to the fundraisers, pay for the raffle tickets, stand on street corners and wave the signs. And you know what? You can ask any party official, and I do talk to party officials, and they're just bleeding. They are bleeding. Then there's the small business and medium-sized businesses who provide contributions, always at a great disadvantage, by the way, to the might of the union movement and their huge amounts of money. But they're putting the checkbooks in the bottom drawer of the filing cabinet and won't open. About, firstly, the unity of the Liberal Party and its position as a centre-to-centre-right party that believes in small business, low taxes, individual aspiration and improvement, and they have completely abandoned that in the last 12 months. Well, I can tell you now that after my comments the other night on my show with Peter Beattie, I actually had senior people in the LNP ringing me up going, "Well done, had to be said." So
who rang you?
Oh, senior members of the LNP.
Name them for me.
Come on, Steve. But by the way, I've also talked to two people who were at this dinner that Christopher Pyne indulged in his indulged in that very self-indulgent, righteous sort of rant, which he's now apologising for, and they were disgusted and they left. They left the function. In fact, one of them said to me, "I thought I was at a Labor Party function, the way people were carrying on and the things that were being said and the mood." And I make the point about Pyne, about Christopher Pyne, that in South Australia, the primary vote of the Liberal Party is down to 29%, despite billions being thrown at the shipbuilding down there, the new submarines, and also Arium.
So if Christopher Pyne is a moderate, moderates are not able to deliver electorally for the Conservative side of politics as far as you're concerned.
This is a bloke who's been, I think Corey Bernardi summed him up beautifully the other night on Sky News. He's a schemer. He's not focused on doing the right thing. He thinks he's better than he is. He goes onto TV stations around the country, and frankly, he's a walking, talking advertisement of the caricature of a Tory toff. I mean, he's manna from the gods for I reckon for the Labor Party. That's not the sort of LNP or Liberal Party person that I ever was. I believe in aspiration. I believe in projecting values that are about people being able to improve themselves, not some sort of toffee-nosed, stuck-up public schoolboy. And I'm afraid that's his persona.
Let me ask you...
And he should have a long, hard look at himself too, because he has hurt the government, and again, you go back to the result in South Australia, 29% primary. By the way, just to take listeners back to one thing, the LNP lost government in Queensland in 2015 after making huge, tough, controversial decisions, having many fights, as we've talked about before, too many fights, as I've acknowledged. And guess what? The primary vote was 41.3. So when Scott Morrison in the Australian in days just past says, "Oh, we learnt the lesson from the Newman government," I say you learnt the wrong lesson, Scott. The lesson of the Newman government is not that. It's about actually living and fighting on your feet rather than being on your knees. And that's where they are. They have sold out their values. The trouble is that what Abbott is saying is fundamentally correct. I mean, someone's got to say it. Probably it's better that people like me say it rather than someone within his team, because it's not, because it obviously causes problems. But I would put Abbott at the end as being someone who's at the end of his tether, who can see them going to this valley of death and wants to turn it around.